It's my Parmesan fried onion. To start, I'm gonna chop off the top of an onion. And this is a large yellow onion. I'll place it cut side down, that way it's stable. And then I'm gonna envision that this onion is the face of a clock. I wanna make cuts in each of the hours, about a ½ inch from that center root so that it all stays together when I fry it. So I'll start at 12. I'm getting a little emotional. Gorgeous. That was the hardest part. I'll turn it over and gently separate the petals. Oh yeah, this one's really good. I've got my dry ingredients mixed up already. It's just flour, Parmesan, paprika, garlic, salt, and pepper. And for my wet ingredients, I'll start with 2 eggs. I'm so excited to eat this. And 4 cloves of garlic. This onion has big personality and big flavor. A cup of milk and salt and pepper. I'm not gonna hold back with the salt. It's a big onion. And I'll mix it up. I'll dunk it into the dry mixture, and then the wet mixture, and then the dry again. And those 3 dunks together will create this breading all over these onion petals to make it completely irresistible. I'll flip it over and kind of separate the petals while I sprinkle this dry mixture all over to make sure that it gets in all of these layers. Deep, deep-a-dee. I'll transfer it to the wet mixture. You have to handle this like the delicate flour that it is. I'll flip it over and make sure that it's fully coated. And then back into the dry mixture. And the wet and the dry together create this batter that encases these petals. Okie doke. My onion is ready for the fryer. I have a few inches of oil heating here to 360 degrees. And I always like frying in cast iron because it holds the heat really nicely. All right, this part's really fun. This is when the onion blooms. This is gonna fry for 3 to 4 minutes on each side until it's golden. This is basically a gigantic onion ring. And I happen to be going through an onion ring phase in my life right now, so I am gonna destroy this. I'm gonna very gently flip this, and I'll let this go for another few minutes while I grab my garnishes. I've got some grated parm that I'm gonna sprinkle on top once it's out of the fryer. Some mayo for dipping, because the only thing better than a fried food is a fried food dipped in mayo. And then I'll chop up some fresh parsley. This will be nice and pretty on top. Okay, I think she's ready to come out. Oh, this looks awesome. I'll take a bouquet of these flowers any day. I'll place it on my wire rack so that any excess oil can drip off. While it's still hot, I'll sprinkle it with salt and pepper. I'll transfer it right to my plate. I'll cover it with a storm of Parmesan, a sprinkling of parsley. Ha! The parsley kind of just makes it. My mayo on the side. No one is gonna know if I taste it immediately while it's super hot and crispy. Here I go. I wish I had more thumbs to give it like 6 thumbs up.
Sweet potato gratin. I know you've seen sweet potatoes done a bunch of ways. I'm not a big sweet potato casserole guy, and don't talk to me about marshmallows and brown sugar and all that. I'm not into it. But when you take sweet potatoes and put it with some onions and do what we're gonna do on the grill, we're gonna have the smokiness of the grill, we're gonna put a little char on it, we're gonna put it together with some half and half and a little bit of time. You wait, you're gonna love these. So I peeled the sweet potatoes, real fun task. I'm cutting them, don't worry about that one, you gotta offer one up. Take the ends off, try to get uniform size. We hit them with a little bit of salt, pepper, and olive oil and go to the grill. Started it with charcoal, got some nice oak on there. There we go. Okay, so those are all done. Let me grab a sheet tray. Slide them onto a sheet tray. We hit a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper, and then we'll talk about what's gonna ride shotgun on this gratin dish. How about, exactly, some sweet onions, Vidalia onions to be exact. So grab a couple Vidalia. There we go. Some olive oil drizzle, fresh cracked black pepper, and some salt. I got dogs barking in the backyard, hanging out in my back. Listen, this is my favorite time. Chilling back here, kids aren't running around, pool's not going nuts, dogs aren't begging, somebody's dog's barking, and I'm cooking and you're hanging, good deal. Okay, we move this around, go down with the onions here. Having that type of grill where you can take small onions or potatoes that would normally fall through the grates, and where you can get that radiant heat and you can get some of that smoke flavor coming through, just takes a regular gratin to the next level. So now we're gonna make the half and half mixture that we're gonna pour over this gratin. So we're gonna kind of partially cook the potatoes here. Not all the way, they're still gonna have to go in the oven. But what we're gonna do, we'll get a couple cups of half and half in there. You know what makes my mouth water also? Horseradish. Talk about bringing up the flavor. I don't know, 4 tablespoons in here. I don't think you could do too much in this. And there we go. Awesome. Now we'll get a little bit of thyme in there. They can just fall right in. They're gonna steep a little bit in this half and half. Okay. There, little S&P. This is sweet potatoes that have gone savory. The thyme in the half and half, the horseradish. Harvest these off. I got some Vidalia onions, and I'm looking for that. I want that color. I don't want boring gratin that just kind of looks like it's just, you know, it's just been sitting there simmering in milk. Okay, we'll bring that off. So the gratin was 3 layers. I layered it with the Gruyere. Then you put the sweet potato, and then you put the caramelized onions, and then you repeat that 3 times. Perfect. And then you put some more of the cheese on top. This is where it all comes together, as we pour this right on top. Horseradish, thyme. You see that horseradish coming out right there? Kind of move that around a little bit. That horseradish spread out. That's just gonna soak right down into it. Fantastic. Now, we'll do that. Throw some foil on it. The wood-fired oven's rocking right around, I don't know, 350, maybe 400. 350 is what we're looking for, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. And we'll let this go for about 30 minutes. I put it on the sheet tray just in case we get a little bit of a bubble over. I don't want it burning the deck of the oven. It definitely changes the flavor of pizza. But if you have a regular conventional oven, 350, do the tray idea. It'll save you from having to do the cleanup, okay? In we go. It's gonna be hot. But look at that, bubbling madness. Sweet potatoes done in this real savory style. No brown sugar marshmallows on this, are you kidding me? Oh, that is outrageous. Okay, so now what I need to do, slide it back in, let it brown on top a little bit, but it is going good. Sweet potato onion gratin, baked with thyme, horseradish, and Gruyere cheese until bubbly. I mean, these flavors are on point.
Sausage stuffed onions.
Ooh,
how about that? Let's get to our onions first. So I'm using red onions. You could totally use yellow onions for this. Cut them in half. And the key here is to get the onion to fully cook.
Yeah.
When I tried it with a whole onion, it wasn't the same. I like them halved. So, and I just put a little foil in my baking dish so that they don't stick and that they don't stain your baking dish. And then I use a little melon baller to go in here and scoop out the layers of onion.
I love that.
Yeah, you could also use a paring knife, but this is just really easy to do.
Could you use like Vidalia onions, a real sweet onion?
Oh, a Vidalia would be delicious.
Maui onions?
You can use any onion you want, guys.
I like that red onion
I do
because
too.
it's got a great texture. It's got that crisp, like cucumberiness.
Yeah, and it's pretty, right?
It's red.
All right, so you just want to take it down to 1 layer of onion.
Wow.
Yeah. So we want lots of room for the sausage. So I'm gonna get it all scooped. This is almost like you want to wear swim goggles so that you don't cry. Okay. Okay. So I got that one done here. Now, we're not gonna waste all this onion.
Heck no.
You wanna caramelize these onions, cook them down, little white wine, till they get like this, okay?
Wow.
Beautiful.
Nose to tail onion cookery.
Absolutely. Now, you put these onions, little oil on there, little salt, little pep. They go into the oven, 400 degrees for a half hour.
That's a long time. I like
Pop
that.
those in.
We gotta get those babies
You want them
cooked.
to get nice and tender. I've got some here that are already done.
Al dente onions. Cooked, not good.
Oh, look at that color.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna take my caramelized onions. I've got a pound of Italian sausage here. You can use sweet Italian sausage. You can use hot Italian sausage, whatever you like. You can use chicken Italian sausage. Caramelized onions go in. This is packed with flavor. Thyme is gonna go in that Alex so expertly chopped for me. I'm gonna give this little dish back to you to put a little garnish in. And then I'm gonna add some panko breadcrumbs, some Parmesan cheese.
Oh, now
Jeffrey,
you're
you could
talking.
use pecorino if you wanted.
That's my fave.
We've got some chopped up garlic here. You don't really need a lot of salt and pepper because there's already
It's like an
so
Italian
much
meatloaf,
seasoning.
Katie. Kind of.
Yeah, sure, why not? Parsley in. And then Alex, if you can give me some more parsley for garnish, that would be great. And I'm just gonna mix this up
Oh.
till everything gets evenly distributed. You don't wanna overmix it because then that meat gets a little bit chewy. Smells pretty darn good. So now I'm gonna stuff these onions. So I like to use a big ice cream scoop for this.
That's brilliant.
It's a great idea.
Because then you get an idea of portion, too.
PC.
And
Portion
get
control.
right in there. We want this to be a mountain of sausage stuffing.
Yeah, you need that protruding out of the onion. Can't be lost in there.
You wanna get in here with me, Alex? All right, I'm gonna add to the pan a little bit of stock.
I love that for steaming.
Steam it up. Okay, so now I'm gonna add a little bit of white wine in here as well. This is just gonna give us a lot of flavor. And this is gonna go back into the oven 15 minutes. Then after 15 minutes, you're gonna take it out and add some Parmesan cheese to the top and another 15 minutes. Oh, man.
Oh, the smell. That we just got that. That was like a whoo.
All right, somebody wanna get that for me?
I got you. Thanks,
Now,
Jeff.
this is technically a side dish, but I think this can double as a main.
Side
Look at
dish.
this.
I know.
4 of those.
With a little salad and again, some garlic bread.
The gravy that made would be unbelievable. You dip some French crusty bread in that.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Oh,
Could
yeah.
you just drop some spaghetti
Yeah.
right in there, cook spaghetti?
Oh,
Could, or
why
you can
not?
as a base of a soup. Imagine making a wedding soup with that.
Oh, man.
Delish. I'm gonna put a little extra parsley on top.
Dare I say that looks very fancy.
It really is,
Fancy.
Katie.
Look,
This is
Oh,
no
that's
Wednesday
beautiful,
night
Katie.
special, my friend.
right?
I love it.
That is gorge. It really is.
Gorgeality.
Gorgeality.
Oh, look at that montaña.
Come on, go in there.
Very dramatic when you cut into it.
It's a lot. Oh, look at that.
Look at that juice.
It's like a big meatball.
No, but I love the fact that there's no sauce in this broth. I think that's genius.
I know. You know,
I like it.
sausage it can live without red sauce.
Yes,
you know,
it can.
really can.
Give it the thing. Give it your seal of approval. Thank you, Katie. This
Jeff,
is
I
so
feel like this is
exciting.
up your alley. Like, I could see you making this.
I gotta repeat what Jeffrey said about just the brothiness of those, you know, the dripping mingled with the stock and the wine you put in there. I cut in half, I let it hang out. It just sops it all up. The sausage is unbelievably juicy. Right?
And the wine
Oh,
with the cheese. It's
the little
wine and
cheese
the
on top, the sweetness of the onion inside, and the sweetness of the onion on the outside
Delicious.
gives you a little texture, a little something to hang on to, you know?
Something.
This is so darn delicious, Katie.
Sweet and sour flowering red onions.
Ooh.
Whoa, flowering red onions.
Now, you could use yellow onions for this, but I'm really partial to the red onion. I like that sweetness. I like the texture of the red onion. And it's got a little cucumbery crunchiness. There's like a juiciness. So, super simple recipe, not much to it. It's all in how you make your cuts. We've got the onion, I've got the root end, and that's the end. You just wanna make sure you leave enough of that root end on there so that while you're cooking this, it's gonna hold its shape, right? So be careful when you make that cut. And then it sits flat on your cutting board, and you're literally just gonna make a cut at an angle like this. And you're not gonna go all the way through, just about 2/3 of the way through, and you stop, and then you just turn it a quarter turn. You make that same cut, not all the way through, and just one more time. Right? Now you think, okay, I get where you're going with this, right? The flour. But we have to cook it a little bit before we roast it in the oven. And you do that just by dropping them in boiling salted water. 4 or 5 minutes. We're looking to tenderize that onion, get inside the building, you know, start chatting the onion up and saying, hey, I need you to fall apart and become this beautiful flour. Now, I've had one in the water for a couple of minutes. You see right when it goes in the water, it's vibrant red, it's all tight, can't get inside there, and then it starts to open up. It's a lot like when you put a bouquet of flowers in warm water and you force them open a little bit. If you've ever made bouquets like that, it's the same.
Never knew that.
Right? And so here I had done a few before. And you can see.
Is there any vinegar in that water?
Yeah.
No.
Really?
It's just, at this point, it's just salted water, as if you were cooking pasta or blanching vegetables. And then you want to just pull them open a little bit, right? You can let these cool a minute or two and then open them up. Obviously, they're really hot, but you see we've got that flour. And when they come out of the oven, by the way, we're just going to have a little glaze for them, which is just 2 tablespoons of red and 2 tablespoons of white vinegar with a tablespoon of brown sugar. And you literally just get that simmering on the stove. That's that sweet and sour. And that just kind of simmers on the stove, medium heat. Okay, first we're gonna put a little bit of olive oil. And you wanna get inside the crevices of those onions. This is so pretty. I mean, I think right like this, I'm ready. And it's got a big steak to stand up to, so, you know, it needs a little hair and makeup.
Does HMU, we call it in the biz.
Salt, right, just sprinkle. Don't be afraid to get in there.
This is such a pretty presentation.
I'm
for a
already
dinner party.
mesmerized by it. And you know what? I know the classic chain steakhouse preparation of this is it's a lot easier than frying.
Yeah.
Breading and frying one of these.
Okay, I'm gonna put these in the oven, 425, hot, right? We've got a lot of onion to work through, 40 to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
We gotta really let these go.
Right. All right.
Yeah, you know what you're doing.
I don't know what's coming out of this oven, too.
This is mind-blowing.
Well, it's really pretty.
Oh,
Ooh, I
look
can
at
already
that, Jeff.
see pretty.
You really, they really
oh,
open
Jeff.
up.
Oh, it looks like a lotus flower.
Yes, it does, on the
Really.
pond.
that?
Lily pad.
And this just, because we boiled them, and then we just roast them, it's super easy. Boil, roast, see you later.
Boom.
Couple of different ingredients. You're just reducing that sugar and vinegar together, right, until it gets kind of syrupy.
I love the little crispy bits of a roasted red onion. That's the best.
Now, if you wanted to like, you know, get it crispy, could you throw breadcrumbs on and throw it in the broiler or something?
Yeah, you could go in a lot of directions
I like
with
this a lot.
This is just the vinegar and the brown sugar, and I'm really looking to a steak or a roasted chicken, somewhere where you almost want a little bit of kind of vinegary sweetness to go. You know, we want to move the entree conversation along a little bit, and I think these are the types of flavors that do that. Don't forget, even though we salted before, these opened up a little bit in the oven. Tiny pinch in the center there, in the heart where it may not have gotten all that seasoning that we put on initially. And this is so easy to serve, and it's dramatic.
Dramatic.
You could do all this ahead of time and just have this sitting here, and people are like, are you a chef? Like, are you on the kitchen?
And it's kind of dummy-proof, too. And it's an onion. You know what I mean? It's just the whole onion. It's it. There's nothing. It's not a
This
potato.
really is where the side steals the show.
There, very dramatic, I feel.
Oh, beautiful.
That's the prettiest one. Ooh.
I like my medium rare, please.
You want a medium rare onion? Could make these more well done. You could char them a little bit, right?
Toss them under the broiler for a minute.
Such great texture, I feel, with this steak, and we want something different from all those potatoes, okay? We
love
all
the
know.
sweetness that's in that vinegar sauce.
Very paleo.
There's a lot going on in a simple dish.
I'm making onion rings, but I'm not frying the onion rings. I'm gonna bake them. All right, so I've just sliced a sweet onion. So what I wanna do here is I'm gonna start a dredging station. I have a cup of low-fat buttermilk, 1/4 cup of cornstarch. I've added cornstarch to the buttermilk because it's gonna help get those onion rings nice and crunchy. So that's done. I have a 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour in here. I'm gonna add about 3/4 cup of yellow cornmeal. That's gonna help with that color too, okay? Some Parmesan cheese. It's gonna give it that nutty, buttery flavor. And my house seasoning. Some salt, paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, everything in my spice rack. Mix that up. break up my onion slices here. Just gonna dip it in the buttermilk cornstarch mixture. Take the onion ring over here, and I don't wanna overcrowd this tray right here because I wanna make sure that the onion slices get coated evenly. Just flip them around. This is fun, and if you have kids at home, get them involved with this. This is really fun. It gets a little messy, but hey, kids love mess. Now, who cleans it up? You guys have to decide that. Let me spray my baking sheet with a little olive oil. That looks like it's enough for 2 people, even though I think Katie can eat that by herself. Let me wash my hands and get those bad boys in the oven. I'm gonna spray it one more time with olive oil because I am oven frying the onion rings. Make sure they're covered. I have my oven preheated to 425. I'm gonna get it nice and crispy on one side, flip it. I'm gonna bake it for an additional 10 minutes. So it's gonna bake for about 25 minutes altogether. And when I pull this tray out of the oven, I promise you, you can't tell that I didn't deep fry these babies. The onion rings are done, and Katie's here.
I'm gonna dig into these onion rings. I'm gonna get those.
Yeah, dig into it, dig into it. Ooh, I heard the crunch.
They're very crispy.
This is my classic French onion soup.
Yes.
Of course, Chef. 4 tablespoons of butter. Melting it nice. Got my wooden spoon here. And we are going to add these onions. Okay, about a pound of onions in there, and this will cook down tremendously. To this, we're gonna add some salt, a little kosher salt, not too much, just to kind of lightly help start weeping it all out. But again, salt is the enemy of caramelization because it draws out all that moisture. And we wanna really focus on developing the sugars in these onions. And to help kind of expedite that process, give it a little extra, just a little, couple pinches of sugar with the onions. All right. All right, next, we let this go for about 45 minutes. Could take longer, could take less. When you are caramelizing your onions, you do not want to disturb it too much, but if you open the pot and you see a lot of the, tasty bits, the fond sticking to the bottom of the pan, keep a little water, give it a little splash of water, and with your wooden spoon so we can get some. And people neglect that kind of what I like to call side fond or wall fond that creeps up the side of the pot. That's all flavor too. Don't neglect that. That's what we're looking for. Like that's the color.
Don't, you gotta let it go. People are, they get anxious.
They get antsy.
Would you put that broth in there?
It's over.
Yeah.
There's zero more caramelization.
Yeah.
Once you start like deglazing too much through the process, it really does kind of slow down the process as well. And we want to embody the spirit of this soup, which is flavor and technique and a little bit of sherry.
Do it.
Help deglaze it towards the end, right? And you scrape up all that stuff on the bottom. Turn up this a little bit. Now we can start adding, we got some warm stock here, and for some herbs, we got a bay leaf and a bundle or a sachet of fresh thyme.
It's a bouquet garni.
A bouquet garni.
Voilà, c'est ça.
A sachet is in cheesecloth usually. So
Correct,
you are
Amanda.
correct that we get a little bit, but it's easier to pick out. It's not just for looking pretty. It's for function too.
Just like you, Jeff.
Very nice. Nobody's like, that guy's pretty. Nobody said that about me.
Jokes.
Even with the neckerchief. So again, we want to kind of cook out that alcohol, let this intensify, let all those onions soak up that sherry. Next, some warm beef stock. Look at that. Boom.
Same thing.
Right? I should have poured it from the side. Like,
Yeah, like
I was
the
getting
water-
some ice water at the saloon. So we're gonna let this come up to a simmer. Look how simple this is, right?
Simple.
It's all time and technique and cutting the onions right, and just putting enough of everything, not too much of everything in there. And what we're left with after about another 30, 40 minutes is the base of a great French onion soup. What we wanna do is fish out.
Le bouquet garni.
Yeah, into the bowl. All right, this is ready to go. Katie, I will bring the horse to the water, if you will.
Okay.
And our toasts are a little done, a little
Toasted.
crostini there. I like to give a little kind of centrifugal stir here so I can scoop up and get an even ratio of broth to onion. I think the onions are the true star of this, but man, we want to structurally build this, so you might need a little more in there. These are big old crocks, but you need the handle on here.
Yeah.
You can use a ramekin at home. You can use like an oven-safe bowl. Or I'm sure you can find these online.
It's kind of like a Moscow Mule. You need the vessel.
You need the vessel,
Yeah,
right?
just to
One
feel
of those
like you're
things
doing
that
it.
like
Yeah.
you find on sale, and when you find it, buy it.
Yep.
Even if you're not planning on making the French onion soup right away, just buy it.
There's also a certain.
I also put like cheese sauces in there. Like
Yeah.
I do nacho sauce, like individual nacho sauce. You
Oh,
can
that's a good
reuse
idea.
those French
I think there's a
onion
look to French onion soup that's almost as important as the actual soup.
Yeah.
It's got to look like he's gonna do it. I know what he's gonna do.
Oh, you know. I mean,
You gotta
smell of
complete
the
it. You
sherry.
can't
Yeah,
like
the
half.
mess on the
half-
edge.
Yeah, you can't do it half baked.
Hey, now, we're going to full bake
Oh
these.
yeah, there we go.
Throw
Look at
a
this.
couple croutons
Really
on the
important
top,
right here.
Do it.
Right? Without submerging like that. That guy went for a dip. I'm going to change him out. I did not. He just ate. You got to wait an hour.
Hey, I don't
Boom.
blame him. He wanted to get in there in that soup.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, Jeff.
I got to do 2 sheets.
Oh,
to.
it's
You
got
have
to
to.
have
I
a
gotta do
thick
two.
layer of cheese
You
on
need it.
there.
Right on there.
It's a must.
So
What kind of cheese?
Anybody want to guess?
Gruyere.
Gruyere, of course. You could substitute nothing. Gruyere is available everywhere, right? The deli slice or the sheets of it that come pre-shingled, if you will. Totally worth it because it's going to make your life easier and an even melt, which, let's check on these, huh?
Where do you put it? What kind of oven? Why?
So we are going to put it on a sheet pan.
Yeah.
As many bowls as you need at a time. Don't just loosey-goosey this to the oven, okay? You want to keep it on a sheet. I'm going to need another rag. Give me that, man. I thought I was going to be all swollen showing off for you guys, but this is a two-handed job. You'll see why. Oh, meh.
Bon Dieu.
That is it. That's the promise.
Yeah.
Look at that. I'm just going to.
Wow.
Look at that. Look at that. Maybe, I don't want to, man, there's no more room. I have all the pots going. Thank you very much, Katie. But look at this. This is what we wanted.
Mon Dieu. That smell.
That's Italian. No, kidding.
That's amore.
That's amore.
This is a soup that makes you want to,
Smile.
well, yeah, and pull out a fork, too. You know what I mean?
Yes, you got to get in there. And
Yeah.
Again,
here's you guys.
Cote de Rhone, red wine, Burgundy, must
yeah.
have.
Done, right?
I
All
like that
day.
you're our sommelier, you know what I mean?
Yeah, how I got
Let us
Cote de Rhone
know.
with this. I like to try the broth
Simple.
first.
I mean,
Yeah, I like exactly what I did. I tried to get the cheese, the bread, the broth.
I feel like
you know.
I'm at Cafe Fleur, sitting there in Saint Germain, watching the world go by.
just this classic French onion soup.
When my friend Tiara and I were talking about doing a menu of steak and sides, he said, it's got to have something crunchy with a steak. And I thought, well, what would be better than fried onion rings? But I was thinking I'm going to do it restaurant style, my way, cornmeal-fried onion rings. So I'm starting with Spanish onions. I actually like Spanish onions because I think they're a little sweeter. And of course, since they're bigger, they're easier to cut up. And I'm just going to separate all the rings. Well, that was one big onion. I think I just need one. So now I need 2 cups of buttermilk, and you want to shake it up. Just pour it right over. What this is going to do is create the batter. Since onion rings are all about the batter. 1½ teaspoons of salt. I think maybe a whole teaspoon of pepper. Gotta have lots of flavor. And then clean hands. Just mix them up together. Really messy. Now I'm going to heat up some oil. I've got a quart of vegetable oil in a big pot. And I actually find it's so much easier to do in a big pot. Then you don't get like oil spraying all over the place. Hot oil, not good. And I'm going to use a candy thermometer, which is just attached to the side. Okay, now for the cornmeal crust. I've actually been experimenting with this. I think it's so delicious because the flour makes the crust, but the cornmeal makes it crunchy. Love that. So 1½ cups of flour, 1/4 cup of cornmeal. I like to use stone ground yellow cornmeal, but any kind of cornmeal you can find in the grocery store is fine. Teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and just mix it all up with your hands. If these come out as half as good as I think they are, they're going to be a winner. Time to fry the onion rings. And just drain them just a little, put them in the flour and cornmeal to coat them. That's what makes the batter. Okay, and the oil is up to temperature. 350 degrees. Now I'm just going to drop them in really carefully. And the really great thing about these onion rings is you can make them in advance and keep them warm in the oven for about a half an hour, so you don't have to cook them just before everybody's there. Just going to turn them. The whole thing happens like 2 minutes. This one happened really fast. Just take them out when they're nice and golden brown. These are going to be fantastic. Okay, into the oven. I'm going to keep them warm at 200 degrees for up to about 30 minutes, and then TR and I can taste them when he gets back from shopping.
Caramelized onion and white cheddar mac and cheese. So I just took some chopped bacon out of a skillet, and I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit and add a bunch of sliced onions right into the same skillet. I'm not going to clean it or anything. And then lots of garlic and fresh thyme leaves in this skillet. So while those cook, I'm going to start making the cheese sauce for the mac and cheese. So I have half a stick of butter that I melted in this pot, and I'm sprinkling in some flour. All right, so I'm gonna stir the flour into the butter, and I'm making a roux. I'm gonna cook it for just about a minute. Okay, so the roux has been cooking. It's gotten a little bit golden. So I'm gonna add whole milk. Here we go. And then I want this cheese sauce to be extra rich. So I'm gonna add some heavy cream too, along with salt and pepper. And then I'm gonna stir it, make sure it's all mixed together. And this pot is really hot, and it's gonna take no time at all for this white sauce to thicken up. So now I'm gonna turn this down and add the cheese, whole bunch of grated white cheddar. And that's why I love mac and cheese, because you can really just customize whatever cheese you use. I've also got some queso blanco, which is white processed cheese, which is a must, in my opinion, for any good mac and cheese, because it gives you that unmistakable creamy consistency that they just don't make in France, let's face it. This is mac and cheese, so the mac has to come in somewhere. So I already cooked the macaroni earlier, and it's just been hanging out, waiting for a purpose in its life. Alex had a little snack of plain macaroni, but wait, watch this, Alex, watch. Hello, hello, oh, wow, okay. This mac and cheese is actually gonna bake in the oven, so you wanna undercook the macaroni by probably about half, because it's gonna keep cooking when it's in the oven, and you don't wanna pull it out and have it be gloopy. So look at these onions, Alex. So I'm just gonna kind of divide them in half, and these are gonna go in the bottom of the casserole dish.
Wow.
All right, I know, we're just breaking new ground here, left and right. And then I'm gonna put half the macaroni in. Ready? Whoop. All right, and then just spread it out on top of the onions. And then the rest of the onions go on. Rest of the mac and cheese. I can't leave any in the pan, or Alex will stop filming and come over and eat it.
Some in the pan.
Yeah, leave some in the pan.
No.
Please.
More cheese, please. Goat cheese to be exact. I got big old gobs. And I saved it for the top just so it'll get kind of brown and creamy and dreamy. All right, so the mac and cheese is assembled. So I'm gonna make a crunchy topping with seasoned panko, some melted butter, a mixture of rosemary and oregano.
What about the bacon?
Hello. And
No.
the bacon.
No.
Yes. And then, ready? Sprinkle the topping all over. Oh, and this bacon is gonna get pretty crispy and brown, so if you want it to be a little less brown, you can just barely brown it in the skillet, and it'll give you a little more room when you bake it. Speaking of that, come on, Alex.
Okay.
Let's get this in the oven. We're gonna bake this beautiful mac and cheese casserole at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. So in it goes. And then you can take it out, cover it up, and it'll be ready for Aunt Mabel's. And I took the liberty of doing that.
Wow.
Oh. Let's go serve it and see what it looks like. Okay, you ready?
Oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm ready.
Come on. Look at this. Oh, look. Look, look, look.
I am making my homemade pastrami sandwiches. I've got my 3-pound brisket here that has been brining for 3 days. It's ready to go. And the brine was actually really easy to make. I started with some salt, 2 kinds of sugar for sweetness and a little hint of molasses flavor, pickling spice, coriander and mustard seeds, pink curing salt to preserve and color the meat, 4 cloves of garlic, then covered everything with simmering water so that it can dissolve. Added cold water to cool it off, and then it was time for the showpiece, my gorgeous fatty brisket. I let the brine infuse into the meat for 3 days, and you really can just forget about it. I'm patting it dry because I'm gonna give it a shell of spices now. That's my favorite part, that edge of the pastrami where you can feel the spices between your teeth. I've got a mortar and pestle here that I'm gonna use to crush up some whole peppercorns. I'm gonna use a 1/4 cup. This will give it such a pretty color on the outside in addition to that tasty peppery flavor. A 1/4 cup of coriander, which is gonna give that woodsy note. This is a lot of spices, I know, but we're gonna give this guy a thick coat for the winter. I'll crush this up. That is the smell of pastrami. And then a couple of tablespoons of smoked paprika. So typically pastrami is smoked and then steamed, so I'm using this to help mimic some of that smokiness. I'll stir this right in, and now I have this gorgeous spice rub, and I'm gonna cover this in its entirety with this spice rub. It's just like covering something in glitter, but the glitter is actually spices, and the glue is actually brisket. I'm gonna flip it over and get it covered on the other side. This is going to be the most flavorful bite of meat I've had all day. Okay. This brisket has got a thick coat of spices. I'm gonna transfer it to my roasting pan. I'll rinse off my hands. I'm gonna add about a 1/4 inch of water to the bottom of the roasting pan, and that's gonna steam the meat to help it stay extra moist. I'm gonna grab some foil to cover it. This will help lock in that steam. I'll roast this at 300 degrees for 3 hours. I can smell it already. My pastrami is almost ready. It's been roasting for about 3 hours. Now I'm gonna do the unthinkable and make some onion rings to go on the sandwich as well. They couldn't be simpler. I just dredge and fry some thick slices of onion. I start with a little flour, then into the eggs, and coat in a combo of seasoned classic and panko breadcrumbs. Right, these are all breaded. I've got some oil heating to 350 degrees, and I'm gonna fry these in just a few minutes until they're golden. It smells like a fast food restaurant in here. I love it. Oh, this is exactly the color that I'm looking for. Hello. It's golden and gorgeous. I'm gonna transfer it to a wire rack so any excess oil can drip off and it'll stay crispy. Season with a pinch of salt. And now it's time to check on the pastrami. I mean, that is a hunky piece of meat. I'm gonna transfer it to my cutting board and put these sandwiches together. I love that the accessories for a pastrami sandwich are typically kept really simple. Just good spicy deli mustard and some pickles. Okay, I'm ready to slice. I'm gonna get some slices across the grain. The knife just cuts right through it. Look at that color. I cannot not taste this immediately. Am I in New York right now? I'm having this out-of-body experience. This is insane. I don't know how this could possibly get any better, but I'm gonna make it better on a sandwich. Here I go. And I like some nice thick slices. Oh, look at that steam. I wish you could smell this right now. To assemble, I'll put out my pieces of rye bread and I'm gonna add mustard to each of the slices. I'm getting excited. Next, the pastrami. I have a really good feeling about this. This is the real deal. I'll get my onion rings on. Give them a little smash so that they can all just get together. I'll top with some pickles and some cute toothpicks. Think. I'll slice. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, this is the money shot. This is it. Oh my gosh, holy buckets. This is what I'm talking about. Ta-da! Hi. Okay, it is time to dive into this dinner. Splash.
My smashed hamburgers with caramelized onions and Gruyere. This is definitely my favorite hamburger. So first I'm going to start with the caramelized onions. I've got 2 tablespoons of high burning temperature oil, like canola oil or grapeseed oil. I'm going to put in 4 cups of sliced red onions. Red onions are great because they're a little sweeter than yellow onions. This is about 2 medium onions. I'm going to cook them for about 8 to 10 minutes on medium heat, just until they're really tender. Just give them a toss. This is going to make them really sweet. It's going to bring out the caramelization, all the sugars in the onions. They're going to be absolutely delicious. Just do them slowly so they become caramelized. You don't want burnt onions. So while those cook, I'm going to make a mixture for the hamburgers. So the first thing is mustard. And I use dry mustard because it has like a real sharpness about it. 1½ teaspoons of dry mustard. These are the seasonings. 1½ teaspoons of salt. And about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And just mix that all together. I'm just going to add this mixture to the ground beef. It's going to give it great flavor. So I've got 1¼ pounds of ground beef. It's going to make 4 hamburgers, and just sprinkle it on. And then with your hands, really lightly, you don't want to compact it, just mix this together. This beef is 20% fat, and it's really important. Otherwise, you'll have really dry hamburgers. And nobody wants a dry hamburger. Nothing comforting about that. And this doesn't have anything else in it. No egg, no breadcrumbs, just really good hamburger meat. And one of the key things is get it freshly ground. It's just really all the difference in the world. I'm gonna make 4 1-inch thick hamburger patties, just like that. I don't know what it is about a hamburger that's just comfort food. It's just all American. So good. And the key to these hamburgers is that when you smash them in a cast iron skillet, it gets a really crusty outside. And then I kind of undercook them a little bit so they're really juicy inside. One thing I love about this burger is you don't even have to light the grill. You can just do it inside on a cast iron skillet. So it can be a nice rainy day and you can still have great hamburgers. Okay, that's the 4th one. I'm just gonna wash my hands. So this is the secret to my hamburgers. I'm gonna freeze them for 15 minutes exactly, and it ensures that they're really crispy on the outside and rare on the inside. Not longer than 15 minutes, or you'll have frozen burgers. Okay, now the key to caramelized onions is a little bit of sugar, and what it does is caramelize in the pan. So I'm gonna add a teaspoon of sugar. I wish you could smell them. They're amazing. I'm gonna cook this on a low temperature and cook it for another 12 minutes, and they're gonna get really delicious, and they're gonna be so good on a hamburger. Now comes the fun part, cooking and smashing the hamburgers. So they're frozen for 15 minutes, no longer, exactly 15 minutes. I've got a cast iron skillet with 1½ tablespoons of canola oil in it. Put them right in. And this is the fun part, smashing them. When you're doing hamburgers on a grill, everybody says don't smash them, but when you're doing them in a cast iron skillet, just let them sit right where they are, don't move them at all, and just smash them down. And what that does is create a surface that gets really crusty and caramelized when it cooks. Okay, these are gonna cook for a few minutes. I'm just gonna add some vinegar to the red onions. About 1 tablespoon, just pour it right in. And what that's gonna do is deglaze the pan, get all those kind of crusty bits into the onions. Not to mention the pan's easier to wash. This is major comfort food. Okay, I'm gonna check on the burgers. So, just gonna check and make sure that they're really caramelized on the bottom, and they are. I'm gonna turn them over one at a time. Look how gorgeous that is. So they're gonna be really rare inside and nice and browned on the outside. And just smash them on the other side so you get a flat surface with a cast iron skillet. Makes a really good crust. Now, I'm gonna load them up with onions on each one. Watch this. I dare you not to think this looks good. More onions. Fresh beef with the seasonings with mustard and sweet and sour onions. All caramelized. And the last thing I'm gonna put on is some Gruyere cheese. Okay, I've got Gruyere cheese and I've grated it. Just gonna put a big pile on top of each one. I use Gruyere because I love that kind of nutty flavor that it has, and it also melts really well. I mean, cheese makes everything taste better, right? Okay, lid on. See you in a few. Okay, let's see how these guys are doing. Ta-da! Oh, it smells amazing. You can smell the Gruyere and the onions and the hamburgers. Now I just have to put them on buns. Okay, so got hamburger. Oh, I love all the sauce. Look how good that looks. Gooey and cheesy. You know, you can serve this with ketchup. These are so good, I'm not even sure you need to. They're so juicy and kind of like really rare inside. Whoa. They smell amazing. Cheese and onions and the whole thing. Just need to put the tops on. I actually use potato rolls. They have so much flavor, but you can always use just regular hamburger rolls. But why? Okay, now I just need to find 4 people who are gonna share these with me.